AITA for not giving some of my wedding budget to my sister. My parents think it's a waste and want me to give the money to my sister to help her with her children. I am a 30-year-old man, and 2 weeks ago, I proposed to my girlfriend Sarah, who is 28. Thankfully, she said yes. It was one of the happiest moments of my life. We have been together for 4 years, living together for 3, and marriage had always been something we discussed as a natural next step. After I proposed, we agreed that we would not rush anything. We would take our time, probably get married in about 2 years, so we could plan properly and make it exactly how we wanted it. That way, we would not be stressed or pressured financially either. Now, about money. I am not wealthy by any means, but I am stable. I work in IT and have built up a pretty good savings account over the years. Sarah also works full-time, but when it comes to the wedding, I always assumed I would be taking the lead financially because she has a lot of student loans and is still trying to get her savings to where she wants them. We sat down after the engagement and had an honest conversation about the wedding budget. I suggested a ballpark figure of around $100,000, maybe a little more if absolutely necessary, because weddings are expensive and we also wanted to have a once-in-a-lifetime honeymoon traveling through France, Italy, Greece, and Portugal for an entire month afterward. It sounded like a dream. Sarah's eyes lit up, and she was practically buzzing with ideas. She said she wanted the best of everything, the best venue, the best food, the most beautiful dress, flowers, photography, everything. She does not want to skimp or cut corners, and honestly, I love that she is so excited. Seeing her happy makes me happy. We both knew we were throwing out ideas without fully understanding how much everything would cost in the end, but the plan was to research, get quotes, and adjust as needed. Plus, with 2 years to save more, it seemed manageable. I could take on some freelance projects, work some extra hours, tighten up my budget a bit. I was totally fine with that. This is one of the most important days of our lives. I want it to be special, not something we look back on with regret. Fast forward to last weekend, we had dinner with my parents and my younger sister, and naturally, they asked about our engagement and the wedding plans. I was excited to share our ideas, so I told them we were looking at a 2-year timeline and planning for a beautiful wedding and an incredible honeymoon. I casually mentioned the budget estimate, thinking they would be happy for us. Instead, the mood shifted almost immediately. My mom frowned and put down her fork. She asked me, in a tone that was almost scolding, why we would spend that kind of money on a single day and a trip, calling it wasteful and irresponsible. I was taken aback, honestly. I had not expected that reaction at all. I asked her what she meant by that, and she said, you could use that money for something better. Like helping your sister. For context, my sister is 26. About 8 months ago, her husband walked out on her, leaving her with their 3 kids, all under the age of 10. It has been a tough year for her, no doubt about it. Her ex is refusing to pay child support, even though there is a legal battle underway, and in the meantime, she is barely getting by. She works part-time, but between daycare costs and rent and everything else, she is struggling. I have tried to be there for her. I take the kids out when I can, buy them dinner, bring them little gifts, try to give her a break here and there. But I guess my family feels it is not enough. My mother made it very clear that she thinks I should give at least part of the wedding and honeymoon money to my sister to help her get back on her feet. My sister did not say anything, but she had this look on her face, kind of hopeful and defeated all at once. It made me feel horrible. I love my sister and my nieces and nephew, and it kills me that they are struggling. But at the same time, Sarah and I have been dreaming of this future together. We are building our life. It feels like we are finally reaching this point where all our hard work and patience is paying off. I feel like it would be crushing to just throw it all away. I tried to explain that Sarah and I had already talked about the budget, and she is so excited. It would not be fair to pull the rug out from under her now, especially when she has been imagining the perfect day and perfect honeymoon. My mother was not having it. She told me that family comes first and that real love means sacrifice. She said that if I truly cared about my family, I would do the right thing and postpone the wedding or downsize it dramatically. I left that dinner feeling like absolute crap. Since then, my parents have been cold and passive-aggressive. I get texts from my mom asking if I have come to my senses yet. My dad has been quieter, but when I called him to check in, he said he hoped I would not disappoint the family. My sister has not directly asked me for anything, but she did send me a long message thanking me for all the help I have given her and saying she understands if I cannot do more. It felt like a guilt trip even if it was not meant that way. Meanwhile, Sarah has been blissfully pinning wedding ideas and looking at travel itineraries. I have not told her about the pressure from my family yet because I do not want to dampen her excitement. Every time I think about bringing it up, I imagine her face falling, her dreams crashing down, and I just cannot do it. She deserves this happiness after everything she has gone through in her own life. She worked 2 jobs during college to make it through without family support. She is not some spoiled princess asking for an over-the-top wedding. She just finally feels like she can have something truly special. I am stuck. I feel pulled in 2 directions. On one hand, my sister and her kids genuinely need help, and it would be the compassionate thing to do. On the other hand, I feel like it is unfair for my family to expect me to sacrifice my wedding and honeymoon, something Sarah and I have dreamed about and saved for, just because my sister's life took an unfortunate turn. It is not like we caused her problems. I have been as supportive as I can without compromising my own future. My family thinks I am selfish, wasteful, and heartless. I keep wondering if maybe I am. I never thought planning my wedding would turn into a moral dilemma like this. I thought it would be about love and excitement, not guilt and shame and family resentment. I feel like no matter what choice I make, I am going to lose something important. I just do not know what to do anymore. Update 1. After everything that had happened, I thought there might still be a chance that my family would calm down and come around. I thought that if I gave them a little time to cool off, they would see how hurtful they were being, how unfair it was to try to sabotage one of the biggest moments of my life. I kept waiting for a call, a message, anything that showed they had a change of heart. Instead, things only escalated. A few days after that disastrous dinner, my mom sent me a long email. It was carefully worded, but the message was brutal. She said that after careful consideration, she and my father had decided they would not be attending my wedding. They believed that spending over $100,000 on a party and a trip was irresponsible and a betrayal of family values. They would not be part of what they called a public display of selfishness. They wished me and Sarah the best, but made it clear that they could not, in good conscience, support what we were doing. I sat at my desk, reading that email over and over, feeling like I had been punched in the gut. I had never imagined my parents would boycott my wedding. Even when they were upset, I thought deep down they would still show up, put on a smile, and be there for me because that is what family is supposed to do. But I guess I had been naive. When I told Sarah, she just stared at me for a moment and then started crying. Real, heavy, body-shaking sobs. Sarah had gone no contact with her own family years ago after surviving years of emotional abuse and manipulation. For her, the idea of building a new family, of marrying into a family that would love and accept her, meant everything. When we got engaged, she told me she was so happy that at least my family was normal, that she could have parents-in-law who treated her like a daughter. That dream shattered in an instant. She kept asking, what is the point of having a wedding if no one is going to show up? Why spend all that money, plan all those details, for a room full of empty chairs? I had no answer. I felt so helpless, so angry at everyone who had made her feel this way. After sitting with it for a few days, I realized what we needed to do. I told her that it was okay, that we did not need anyone's approval or blessing to celebrate our love. If no one wanted to support us, then screw it, we would elope. Just the 2 of us. No drama, no guilt, no people pretending to be happy for us while secretly judging us. We would take all the money we had planned for the wedding and pour it into the most incredible, unforgettable honeymoon adventure. At first, she was hesitant. She said it felt like giving up, like letting them win. But then she started looking up honeymoon villas, private tours, hidden beaches in Greece, wine tastings in France, boat rides along the Amalfi Coast. The sparkle returned to her eyes. Slowly, excitement replaced the sadness. We're planning our future together, not shackled by anyone else's expectations, became its own kind of liberation. We started mapping out a full month of luxury and exploration. 5-star hotels, private cooking classes, yacht rentals, sunrise hot air balloon rides. Things we would have never splurged on if we were still trying to stretch the budget between a wedding and a trip. We were going to live like royalty for a month, and for once, do something purely for ourselves. Meanwhile, I had to deal with the final loose ends with my family. I called my mother to let her know that the wedding was cancelled. Her reaction was immediate: relief, satisfaction. She told me I had made the right decision. She said now that I had come to my senses, she hoped I could start focusing on what really mattered. She asked if I could help my sister financially now, if I could step up and do the right thing for the family. I laughed. I could not help it. It was not a kind laugh, it was the bitter, stunned laugh of someone who realizes just how little they ever mattered when their needs conflicted with the family narrative. I told her no. I said that they had made their choice very clear. They had shown me that my happiness did not matter, my dreams did not matter, my relationship did not matter. They ruined my wedding plans with their judgment and selfishness. From now on, I would be prioritizing myself because clearly, no one else was going to do it for me. I told her that I would not be providing financial support to my sister. I would not be giving up more pieces of my life just because they decided I was responsible for cleaning up someone else's mess. I would love my nieces and nephew. I would be a good uncle when I could. But I was done being the family safety net. The conversation ended awkwardly, coldly. I think it finally sunk in for my mother that I was serious. She was used to me bending, compromising, doing whatever it took to keep the peace. But something inside me had broken. I was done being the one who sacrificed, who made myself smaller so others could be comfortable. Update 2. About 3 weeks into planning our epic honeymoon, when things were finally starting to feel lighter and happier for the first time in a long time, something happened that knocked the wind out of me. Out of absolutely nowhere, my sister Amanda reached out. Not a casual text or a random call like before. This time, it was different. She asked if she could come over, alone, to talk. No kids, no parents, no distractions. Just her and me. I will not lie, I was suspicious. After everything, I had built up a hard wall around myself when it came to my family. I did not trust any of them anymore, not after how easily they had weaponized guilt and obligation against me. Part of me wanted to ignore her message altogether, to keep moving forward with my life without looking back. But against my better judgment, against the anger that still simmered under my skin, I agreed. I guess some part of me, the part that remembered who Amanda used to be before everything went so sideways, needed closure. When she showed up at my place, I hardly recognized her. She looked exhausted, like she had aged a decade in a few weeks since I had last seen her. She was clearly nervous, twisting her hands, glancing around, unable to meet my eyes. She sat on the edge of the couch like she was ready to bolt at any moment. The room was thick with tension. Without much prompting, Amanda started to talk. She apologized. Not the shallow, perfunctory apologies I had gotten so used to from my family over the years. This one felt different. She said she was sorry for everything, for letting Mom and Dad pressure me, for not speaking up when she knew it was wrong, for putting me in such a horrible, no-win situation. She admitted that at the time, she had been so consumed with her own problems, her own fear and desperation, that she did not stop to think about what it would cost me. She said she realized too late how unfair it was to expect me to sacrifice my future to clean up the mess that her husband had left her with. I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to believe her. I sat there listening, feeling this battle rage inside me between the anger I had been nursing for weeks and the flicker of hope that maybe, just maybe, I was wrong about how far my family had fallen. But then she dropped the real bomb. Amanda shifted uncomfortably and said there was something else I needed to know. Something she had been carrying around with her, eating away at her, that she could not live with anymore. She told me that the night after our engagement dinner, the dinner where everything had first gone so sideways, she had overheard a conversation between Mom and Dad. A conversation that changed everything. She said that after I left that night, Mom and Dad started talking about how they could convince me to scale back or cancel the wedding. The plan, according to Amanda, was not just about me giving a little help to Amanda during a tough time. It was much bigger, and much uglier. They wanted me to feel guilty enough to back out of my wedding plans, to free up my savings, and then lend, their word, not mine, a significant chunk of that money to them. Amanda said Mom had laid it all out in chilling detail. They would use the money to support the family, which in reality meant paying off some of their own lingering debts, covering some of Amanda's urgent expenses to keep up appearances, and even, unbelievably, helping fund a cruise vacation they had been dreaming about for years. They figured that after things settled down, they would pay me back, but it was clear from how Amanda described it that no one had any real intention or plan for how that would actually happen. It was a fantasy at best, a scam at worst. Hearing that was like having the last remaining thread of my childhood snap clean in two. It was never about family values. It was never about love or responsibility or helping Amanda. It was about control. It was about entitlement. It was about them seeing me, not as a son or a brother, but as a resource to be harvested. As a piggy bank they felt entitled to crack open when it suited them. Amanda said that when she overheard it, she felt sick. She said she wanted to tell me right away, but she was scared. She was scared of being cut off, scared of making things worse, scared of standing alone against mom and dad. But hearing about Sarah and me canceling our wedding, hearing about us planning to elope and rebuild our future from scratch, finally pushed her over the edge. She said she realized she could not live with the guilt if she stayed silent. I sat there, listening, feeling hollowed out. Part of me wanted to rage, to yell, to demand answers that I knew would never come. But another part of me just felt tired. I thanked Amanda for her honesty. I told her that I appreciated her finally telling me the truth. But I also told her, as gently as I could, that it changed nothing. The wall between me and my parents was built too high now, too solid. There was no going back, no repairing the damage they had done. I told her that I was still going to live my life for myself now. That I was still going to prioritize Sarah and our future, above all else. That I was done being the family scapegoat, the fixer, the wallet, the sacrificial lamb. Amanda cried. She apologized again, over and over, but there was nothing more to say. Eventually, she stood up, wiped her eyes, and left. I have not heard much from her since. Update 3. After Amanda's confession, I thought the worst was behind us. I thought realizing the full extent of the betrayal would be the end of it. I was wrong. Very wrong. In the weeks that followed, my parents didn't just sulk or disappear quietly. They escalated. They started trying every trick in the book to get me to hand over money, first under the guise of helping Amanda, then for family emergencies, then for vague, urgent bills that somehow only I could save them from. First came the guilt trips about Amanda's kids needing new clothes for school, about overdue daycare payments, about medical bills. Then it shifted. My parents started hinting that they were struggling with their mortgage, that they might lose the house if I didn't step up as the responsible son. They even pulled out emotional weapons, saying it would break Grandma's heart if the family home was lost because I was selfishly throwing money away on a honeymoon. When that didn't work, they got more aggressive. I started getting group texts from distant relatives, people I hadn't spoken to in years, all vaguely hinting that I needed to do the right thing for the family. It was surreal, like watching a coordinated smear campaign unfold around me. But this time, I didn't fold. Every time they pushed, I pushed back harder. I responded to every guilt trip with a simple, clear boundary: Sarah and I are building our life together. I am not responsible for solving problems I did not create. When they demanded payments, I ignored them. When they tried to shame me publicly, I stayed silent and focused on our plans. The harder they came for me, the clearer it became, I was not just fighting for my savings. I was fighting for my future, for my right to have a life that wasn't defined by other people's needs. Finally, after weeks of tension, I got a message from Amanda again. She asked if we could all sit down, not a family ambush, not another guilt session, but an actual, real conversation. At first, I wanted to say no. Part of me wanted to slam the door forever and never look back. But after talking it over with Sarah, I agreed. We needed to end this properly. Not with rage, not with lawsuits, but with closure. We met at a neutral spot, a quiet coffee shop outside town. Just me, Amanda, my parents. No flying monkeys, no audience. It started awkwardly. My dad tried to launch into another lecture about duty and sacrifice, but I cut him off. Calmly, but firmly, I said that before anyone spoke about the future, we needed to be absolutely clear: I was not giving them money. Not for Amanda, not for their bills, not for anything. That chapter was closed. Permanently. There was a long, heavy silence. Then, surprisingly, it was Amanda who spoke up. She said that she understood. That she didn't expect or want me to bail her out anymore. She was working more hours now, getting government assistance, finding her footing on her own terms. She apologized again for how she let things spiral, for not standing up for me sooner. My parents sat there, stiff and uncomfortable. Finally, my mom, for the first time in months, admitted that they had gone too far. She said that when they saw my savings, they saw a chance to fix a lot of problems at once, and they let their desperation cloud their judgment. She tried to say they meant well, but I didn't let her rewrite history. I told them bluntly that good intentions don't excuse manipulation. In the end, we agreed on something simple: distance. They would live their lives. I would live mine. They would stop trying to guilt or control me. I would, when I felt ready, slowly rebuild something resembling a relationship, but only if they respected my boundaries. It wasn't a perfect resolution. There were no hugs, no tearful reconciliations. Just an understanding. A fragile ceasefire. When I walked out of that coffee shop and got into the car where Sarah was waiting for me, I realized something important. I had finally chosen myself. Not out of cruelty. Out of survival. Since then, life has been better, peaceful, free. As for my parents, we exchange polite, infrequent messages. No drama. No begging. No guilt. Just the faint outline of a connection that might, one day, heal into something healthier, or maybe not. Either way, I'm okay with it. Amanda still checks in sometimes. She's rebuilding her life slowly, on her own terms, and honestly, I'm proud of her for that. Maybe someday we'll be close again. Maybe not. That's her choice now, not my burden. And Sarah and I are building our future and are happy.